before we go, I was just
Yeah.
had one more comment on that, and uh, like there's been a mad dash recently to pass legislation to try to increase semiconductor manufacturing here in the US. And I kind of feel like that's related to some of this other stuff that we were just talking about. The majority of the world's semiconductor manufacturing occurs between China and Taiwan, especially in Taiwan, I believe. And were China to invade Taiwan, they'd kind of own that whole economy. Like I've heard some people even talking about how it would be strategically beneficial to bomb all the semiconductor factories in Taiwan if there was an invasion, which I don't see how that would necessarily work as a good idea. But um, people, yeah, it's just there's all this stuff that I feel like a lot of people have been talking about for a long time, but it maybe didn't fit the election cycle. And a lot of these things, we talk about the ESG funding, like the funding lags or the lack of funding comes before the drop in production. So it's just these things are complicated and they build up for years, and a lot of people don't really want to deal with them. It's kind of like, I'll eat healthy when I'm 55. So
Right.
so it's just
Or tomorrow. Just
yeah,
the proverbial tomorrow.
yeah, but there's that book by Eckhart Tolle, that The Power of Now, and that whole thing's about how now carries with you forward into the future. And I feel like that's a good maybe a good analogy for a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with. We're trying to ramp up stuff immediately, very fast. There's a lot of, semiconductors specifically, a lot of those getting built over the US. And it's, it, you kind of, a lot of these things don't happen until it's, I would say, too late. You kind of lose your strategic advantage.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like the thing we've talked about before. The one podcaster who always says, "When's the best time to plant a tree?" Several hundred years ago. Next
Yeah.
best time is right now.
Yeah, totally.